What's up, Digidestinants? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we have something interesting for all you guys to talk about. We're going to be talking about not one, but 3 different Ultimate Cups in the end of February, so it's always fun to see. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So first off, we're using Digimon Card IO. They have the Oceanic. This is not October, but this is our normal event. This is February. All 3 are February events, the 15th, the 18th, and the 17th. Well, the 8th, the 7th, and the 15th. All important events, right? A lot of players will say that, it's not as effective results because it's not a regional. But again, Ultimate Cups have a great prizing turnout, so it doesn't always equate the same. So first off, we'll talk about the October, aka February, from the Oceanic. So this one had Pyramidi, Nume, Purple Hybrids, had Armors, Red Hybrid, Armor, Takamizuchi, Angels, Armor, Rapidmon, Pyramidi, Lucimon, Gallant, and Dino and Gallant as their decks. I really do like the price totals. This kind of gives us a good synopsis, but, it's good information. Then you kind of do have, if this thing wasn't being a butt, the October, wow, this did it twice. That's rude. I didn't need it twice. So first off, let's take a look at the Rapidmon list. So if you guys know how Rapidmon operates now, this one is really interesting for a lot of players that wanted bunnies to be really good for a bit. Dog Bunny is definitely taking up with the fact that, with a lot of decks getting carried by Medieval Gallantmon, the deck has a lot going for it. Medieval Gallantmon has given a lot of the answer tools that needed, that aggression, being able to take in damage, apply damage while your opponent is still trying to build up, is really important, especially being able to control board state. So this is our new Death X. Medieval Gallantmon was going to become that. So with the deck's ability to do what it needs to, I'm not surprised. So then we have Lucimon here because I really wanted to see what top 16 Lucimon really looked like. So if you guys take a look, it is very much the core of Lucimon, right? Lucimon, the level 5s are just staples here. You do have the X antibody, but you also have Lucimon Satan mode, plus the Larva, and they are playing 3 Darkness Waves, which really is interesting for a lot of players that this card hasn't been on the radar for the list for so long. This is kind of cool to actually see. But we kind of see Dead or Alive, which allows us to play our Lucimons for free. But again, the top end is Levia, Trubimon Ace, with Shadow Seraphimon Ace, so the deck has some ground to stand on, and it's kind of interesting when decks kind of have these weird metrics. Nobody was really expecting this, but I know this was only 126 players, so it definitely can add into the skew dead at matchups. Now, we do have Dinomon in this too, and people are a really big fan of Dinomon. Dinomon's ability to kind of just replay itself with the fortitude and the security attack and being able to basically get itself out twice and be able to do its on-play / when digivolving effect to help alleviate and make your opponent have to attack into him is really powerful for a lot of decks not to be able to handle. Now, you do have Pyramidi. Pyramidi, this is the first time it's actually top. And again, we're just going to chalk it, a lot of players are going to chalk it up that Medieval carried this deck heavily. And again, this is going to be a lot of the information because, Medieval Gallantmon is hard to get around, right? If you're doing shenanigans, Medieval Gallantmon is willing to answer anything you're kind of doing. Whenever you play something, activating its when digivolving effect is a scale that basically makes your opponent have to play around Medieval so much. Now, we do have Nume. Nume is interesting. We haven't seen Nume do much in the format, and being able to get second place is ridiculous, right? So if you guys don't know, Nume was a very powerful deck a little bit ago, and that's super important to take into account. Using these bottom ends that be able to negate stuff, can't gain a memory, can't reduce play cost. This one says can't ignore Digievolution requirements. Having the hit where, the Ukumons came down from being 8 Ukus to kind of just swing in really hurt the deck. And having Lewis kind of go on 2 and then restricting Numemon X really made the deck fall out of favor. But the fact that it's come back a little bit with the access of all these very powerful level 6s, because again, with Edamon, you can combo in really nice with all the black and yellow aces, and it leads into this very powerful scheme. Do I think Nume is going to top again? Probably not. This was probably a good run for them, and they had some really good matchups that just led them to take on the advantage because players weren't ready for Nume. Now, again, Ancient Greymon Red Hybrid is another great deck that we kind of see too in this list. This isn't the bird version, so this is just pure Ancient, just OTK straight, right? And again, here's Medieval Gallantmon. People are going to start crying about Medieval Gallantmon needing to hit, but again, we're kind of just seeing it as a 1-2 of splash, and again, it's a good card. The problem is it's an expensive card for a lot of players now. Now, we do have Yellow Vaccine Angels as well. If you guys know, Digimon, it kind of just plays this big protect buffer game, but because with Shadow Seraphimon now, you guys have full access to some great defensive lines that your opponent's just not ready to deal with. And with Digimon, you're in a good spot, to be honest with you. So it's kind of cool to see where Digimon lands too. And again, now we're going to look at PPG's event. So if this loads correctly, if you take a look, we have some really good info on this. Oh, great. You dummy. I wanted this. So in the February PPG event, we had a lot of purple hybrid. There is no question about that. 11 tops is a lot. But again, there's some interesting decks in here. You know, we've seen blue-green Imperial Digimon has started to make a rise back in, but we have green Gotcha, 7 Great Demon Lords. We have, you know, purple Toolbox, birds, purple hybrid, you know, purple Toolbox, you know, raw, Shine Greymon, stuff like that. We're not going to go too far into the top 32, but Galaxy Toolbox is also an interesting one because it's playing the red top end, not the blue top end that we're kind of used to. So, Volgar Roop, we already know what this deck kind of does, right? This thing is just straight up loop with Duskmon, you know, just constantly milling, dealing damage. Your opponent is just going to lose because of how aggressive the deck can once it starts looping its pieces. And again, Mervamon to kind of just close out the game with a bunch of Jack Raids. Now we do have Lugamon, Takamazuchi. We already know that Takamazuchi is a very powerful deck. It's really good into the Volgramon high ends. So when you see Volgra in a lot of major events, this is kind of just where you kind of scream that you want to be playing Takamazuchi to counter it because they just help mill your pieces into the grave. Now you have Green Gotcha, which is very interesting because again, Green Gotcha hasn't done much, but with the new, you know, Dino, they're kind of comboing with heavy Leo plus the Dinomon, so their two biggest top end threats are very powerful, right? So one's just de-digivolve and then gets to return to the bottom of the deck, and this one's just straight up delete something. So both are really good if you hit on the Gotcha end, so it's kind of interesting to see, especially because Green Gotcha disappeared out of the format so long ago. Now we have Gallantmon. Gallantmon hasn't really gotten too high into the format, but, you know, for Ultimate Cups wise, I think it's also a very expensive deck, so it's kept a lot of players out of it. And that is another issue with Ultimate Cups. I feel like it's a lot more for the lower paying cost players. You'll see a lot of these random more decks show up because, again, lower cost players, you know, easier entry. A lot of more higher competitive players really want their invite and bigger prizes. But again, it's kind of a mix, right? But Gallantmon just doing Gallantmon shenanigans, we know. Leviamon Purple Toolbox, you guys know they are teching this in. It's kind of funny. It's just one Lord Nightmon X, but they also have one Evil. Again, the deck is just really good. There's nothing wrong with the deck. Now we do have Bloomlord Vegetation, which again, it's very rare to see Bloomlord kind of do things. But again, Bloomlord isn't everybody's kind of go-to, right? You know, Medieval Gallantmon, Bloomlord, you know, Trubimon, Ace, plus the Quantums. It's just all great, powerful cards. Bloomlord being able to cause piercing damage, you know, comboed in with the Grand Gale to be able to attack twice is super strong. You know, Mimis are really great. I think the deck has a lot to stand on sometimes, but, you know, it's been going well in Japan as well. There are people that play well with it. Now, Volgar Loop Purple Hybrid, this is the more common list we kind of see nowadays, with the Gallantmon in the list, plus the Nidhogg's, and just the whole package that you come to know and love, right? You know, Galamon to help clear threats, and just that extra rush after you cleared out your board sometimes is what you need. Now, you have blue-green Imperial Dramon because blue-green Imperial Dramon just likes doing things that blue-green Imperial Dramon likes to do. And look, hey, look, Evil Galamon and Hexablow. But again, you know, the combination with Dragon Mode plus the hidden potential, we've seen this in earlier formats when it first came out, when they were doing this. This created an OTK combination with these two that just lead into your opponent just having a bad time, right? So it is a possibility to re-see it. Now, we do have the Dragon Link's Galaxy toolbox. So, again, taking in the fact that you have Volcanic Dramon, you have the Ragnar Lord plus the Metallic Dramon, all combo in really nicely. The fact that you're playing 4 Garudamon aces, I don't know how I feel about that, but you know what? It's a great deck regardless. The deck synergizes by being the Digivolve and just go off the town. And their top end just reflects that, right? And I think that's pretty cool. I really do like the Galaxy engine, and I like the red top end. Now, let's take a look at the last event. This one was No Heroes Ultimate Cup. You know, top 16s had purple hybrids, the armors, the shenanigans, the normal stuff you would kind of see. We do have Pyramidy, you know, black hybrids and Mirage and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to kind of cover. So Yellow Vaccine, armors, if you guys don't know, this is a very interesting list. This was popping in and out of Japan as well. This one focuses on Nefertimon and the Luxamon. That combos in nicely with Magna X because you'll just climb up naturally, or you'll use the Awakening of the Golden Knights to go on top of them. This deck is very strange for a lot of players, but it is a tool no less for players to play and enjoy. Now, you do have Vulgar Purple Hybrid Loop, just normal common things you kind of just see nowadays. There's nothing too crazy out of this. Now, you do have Black Base Hybrid. So this one just forces blocks and you use your aces to kind of just control the board from there. It's a very grindy control deck, and a lot of players, it's a hit or miss if they like it or not. Now, Mother Shoto Ace Control, this is just Setcon basically returning in its full glory. If you guys didn't know, it was a bunch of decks that just kept covering. Your opponent just keeps hitting your security, they're most likely dying to everything. And then Mirage is Mirage, right? Mirage just wants to bounce an OTK. And again, a lot of these decks have to deal with threats like this, but what do you guys think of the video? Let me know down in the comments. Definitely check out Digimon Card.io. It definitely has a lot of information for us to use. So guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace!